What the world? Oh, man!
SHW. This is our wrestling.
Unbelievable.
You think you could walk all over me, but I don't see that happening. We're warriors.
We told you anybody could show up here tonight. This crowd is going ballistic. Music that dog collar now just choking Huckabee. Ashton Starr, your new #1 contender. The Lynch Mob are your first ever SHW Tag Team Champions. You're kidding me. Logan Creed is in the action building. Unbelievable. I can't believe what we saw here tonight, folks. I mean, this is insane.
And now, the voices of Southern Honor Wrestling, Brandon Benefield and Gerard Bonner.
What is going on, Southern Honor faithful? It's your boys, B-Double Brandon Benefield, GB Gerard Bonner, and this is the SHW podcast. This is our wrestling. GB, what's up, buddy?
Man, how are you? Can you believe July is, well, just about done? It's just about done. We're about to hop into August, and that, of course, means we're going to be back. And I'm just excited. I'm super excited to finally be back with the SHW faithful and finally see you again, man.
No kidding. We've been doing this on across the interwebs here for the last few months, which is
right.
Okay. It's kind of held us over for the most part, but I can't wait to see you in person. And speaking of seeing everybody on August 28th at the second annual Rumble Jack, we have an update since we recorded last week about ticket sales. So let's tell everybody about that. Originally, tickets were going to go on sale online on August 1st. However, what's the deal?
Well, what has happened is there's a few things at work. Of course, we're not sure of what the state of Georgia is going to do relative to all that's going on in the world. Things are still moving as normal. So there's that. Then there's also, if you remember, the April show we were going to have and what was going to happen with SCI, the ticket company that we were using just hasn't worked out well for us. And we haven't been able to find another ticket company that can really handle things the way we would like. So what we're going to do is tickets will be exclusively available on the night of the event. They'll start to be available at 5:30 p.m. So what that means is you need to get to the action building early. If you're working, plan to take the day off because I'm certain the line is going to be long. So you want to get there so you can get your ticket because obviously whatever tickets go, they go. So if you want first row, second row, get there early. And 5:30 is when you'll be able to get your tickets. So save up your money, save up your coins, do what you need to do. August the 28th, that's when the tickets are going to go on sale at the Action Building. So plan to be there. It's going to be nuts. And personally, I think that's going to make that night even crazier.
Man, like you said, it was already stacking up to be a crazy night, and now the fact that tickets are on sale at the door, it's going to be insane. So like Gerard said, get there early, folks. It's going to be crazy. We cannot wait. We've heard of a number of entrants so far. Last week we saw announced being entered into the Rumble Jack, Sean Dean, the captain. Then you got the People's Captain, Gunnar Miller, got announced last week. This week we've heard about Logan Creed. We heard about Fearless Musa going to be making his debut. Another debut for SHW, Ben Buchanan, the son of the legendary Bull Buchanan, is going to be there.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
It's going to be awesome.
He's going to be in there and a few others. So Rumble Jack is really shaping up to be something that I think is going to be special. Everybody's trying to get in, but obviously only a few people can. And it's going to be a great night for the return of Southern Honor. So again, Rumble Jack 2 is coming your way August the 28th. Get your tickets. Well, you can't get them now, but you can prepare to get your tickets on the night of on August the 28th at the door at the Action Building. It's going to be nuts.
The thing about the Rumble Jack, too, and it's kind of become SHW's MO at every show, is that you just never know who's going to show up. And on a night like this, when you have a Rumble Jack and you have about 30 competitors or so trying to enter into one match, you have people from all over the place trying to get in this thing. I mean, you see these like these like this underground movement for different wrestlers from different parts of the state. We've talked about Hold My Beer Hansen, that
Yeah.
there's been like a movement on the fan page about that.
It's crazy. Like, I've not seen anything like this before. It's
So
nuts.
we don't know if he's going to be in it. We don't know who all's going to be there. It's going to be crazy. And
And I understand why. I mean, the
Are you-
winner is going to be able to get a shot at the SHW championship. So, like,
it's going to be
it's gonna be big.
It's going to be. Are you hearing the feedback or static or what?
Hold on.
Are you hearing that, GB?
Uh, I don't know what's happening. Are you clear? Are you okay?
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Breaker,
whoa!
breaker, 1-9,
Wait.
baby.
What?
It's Hold My Beer Hansen. Hey, guess what? I ain't going nowhere. I've done got in here, and I ain't gonna let go. Here's the
Hold on.
deal, baby. Hold My Beer Hansen is gonna be at the Rumble, Jack. I don't care if I have to buy a ticket.
Wait.
I don't care how I'm gonna get in this thing. I'll hop the
What is-
guardrail. I'll do whatever I need to do. Hold My Beer Hansen
What is
is gonna
happening
get
right
his
now?
shot. He's gonna
What?
get in. He's gonna do what he needs to do. And guess
Am I-
what? Hanson 2020, baby. It's running wild. We're doing everything. I got t-shirts. I got a campaign going. I'm working on stickers. We're going to have merchandise. I might even sign some babies.
Wait, hold
You
on.
know
hold
what?
on.
Can he hear
what
us?
is-
Can
what
you
is
hear
that?
us?
What is? What am I? What is this?
Oh, you didn't know you might need to get better security. I done hardwired a CB radio in a hot pocket sleeve and threw that thing in the microwave. And
What?
baby, I'm right here.
What in the world? So you
2020
somehow,
has done some crazy stuff, but what are you?
So look,
Is
so
this
look,
this is Hold My Beer Hansen? Is this?
this is him in the flesh. So
Oh my
GB,
God.
you know how I said on the SHW fan page, DC has been posting these Hold My Beer Hansen facts every
I've
single
been
day.
seeing them. Yeah.
I tell
Apparently,
you what,
another
DC is
talent.
doing a great job out there. DC is doing exactly what I need them to do. We're keeping the propaganda going. I am the hero the people need. I'm the hero Southern Honor needs. DC's doing a great job. You know what? I might even promote him to second rank manager right there.
Well,
We are in the
apparently,
middle of a
apparently,
podcast. What
yeah,
is-
apparently one of his skills, I guess, is computer hacking skills because somehow, I want to say DC had something to do with this, maybe. And
This is
know.
possible. Like, I really thought this was a super secure link. We've never had anything like this happen before. But I mean,
let me
I've
hang on.
seen
I'm
links
trying
broken
to.
into.
I'm trying to figure out
What?
how to remove him
How?
real quick.
I don't.
Hey, you ain't gonna get rid of me. Ain't nobody getting rid of me. Gary Lamb, I know you out there. I know you're watching. Just know
Oh my
Hold My
God.
Beer Hansen is gonna be there. I'm gonna get me a ticket. If you don't book me, guess what? I'm getting in that match. You better have security ready. But ain't nobody stopping Hold My Beer Hansen. I'm going straight to the top, baby.
Here we go. Hang on. Hang on. I got him. Gerard.
Oh, you can't stop
Did
it,
you-
baby. Hold My Beer
Hang on.
Hansen 2020. Running wild.
Okay. I think he's gone. That was insane. What in the world?
You know, I know of a scenario where some friends of mine were doing a situation just like this. They were on Zoom, and all of a sudden they got hacked, and it was rather embarrassing. And I felt for him. He's a good friend of mine, and I never expected that to happen to us.
Hey,
What is what?
I just want to tell the fans we apologize for that because we have the secure SHW line here, and I don't know. Honestly, I
we
think
don't
we need
give
to
this out. It's not pub. I don't.
we need to talk to DC at the next show. I feel like he had something to do with this.
It's very possible.
That
I
was
don't-
nuts.
I mean, didn't DC call the first show for SHW?
he did. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I
That's insane.
wow.
Anyways,
Okay.
we got way off track there. We were getting ready to talk about our guest for tonight. That was not our scheduled
That
guest.
was no.
But our scheduled guest is Kyle Matthews, who you know from SHW. He made his return. He made his return several months ago and had a series
Yeah.
of matches with David Ali, which were
Yeah.
incredible.
Mhm.
And he's going to be joining us here once we can kind of
Wow.
collect our thoughts here. But that was nuts.
I'm trying to gather. I apologize because I try to be very professional. I just never expected, and I shudder to think if he was willing to hack our podcast, what else will he do to be part of the Rumble, Jack, on August 28th? I don't know. I I don't know. Either this kind of behavior can get them in or sufficiently get them out. I don't
Well,
know.
there's one way to find out if you're an SHW fan, and that's to
Oh,
join us
man.
August 28th
Oh,
at the
boy.
Action Building, Canton, Georgia, for the second annual Rumblejack. Tickets will be on sale at the door. $20 first and second row, $12 for general admission. It's going to be
Mhm.
insane.
Yeah.
That guy might be there. Hold my beer hands, and we don't know. But like I said, we had a chance to talk to this week's guest, Kyle Matthews, a little earlier today, and well, let's take a listen to that interview. Check it out.
All right, guys, we've got another fantastic interview coming your way. We've been bringing you some great personalities here from SHW, and this guy you absolutely love. He took some time off. He recently came back. He's an 8-time technical wrestler of the year here in Georgia, and we know about his great feud with David Ali, and we can't wait to talk to him. Hanging out with us today, it's Kyle Matthews. Kyle, how are you, man?
Good. What about you guys?
Doing great, doing great. So it's been a weird time, of course, in the world of pro wrestling and in the world in general. Man, how have you been doing during this quarantine pandemic situation going on?
Yeah, it's been crazy. Just been staying at home like everybody else, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. Just trying to stay safe, and that's about it.
Hey,
Yeah,
I saw over the weekend, I think it was this past weekend, that you were wiping out on a set of skis, water skiing. What was that all about?
Yeah. My parents have a house in Alabama on a Lake Wadawi, and I've been skiing since I was a little kid, but I guess something didn't go as planned. Decided to take a face plant into the water.
Right when the camera was rolling, obviously.
Of course.
Well, that's awesome, man. It's good that you were at least you and the family able to get out and do something fun since everybody's been stuck inside. I know everybody's been itching to do something.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to get out of the house when you can, right? Not have to
Yeah.
wear a mask to be outside. So it's always
No
good.
kidding.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, in the world of pro wrestling, we've been asking folks, like, how have you been coping during all this relative to wrestling? Some have chosen not to watch any wrestling. Some have kind of binged watched. Some have just been thinking about, okay, what do I need to do to get better? What's been your approach to staying connected or maybe even disconnecting from pro wrestling during this time of pandemic?
Yeah,
What have you done?
I've been watching. I watch all the time. I'm a wrestling nerd, just like everybody else, right? So
yeah.
there's a really nerdy game on computer called Extreme Warfare Revenge. Do you guys know what this is?
Oh,
I'm
no.
familiar.
Not
Okay,
familiar.
so Creed plays GM mode on, like I guess it's Survivors versus SmackDown versus Raw, like '06
Right.
or something. So
Okay.
it's kind of similar to that, where you have to run a promotion and book feuds and deal with money and all that sort of stuff. But it's really nerdy because there's no graphics. It's just like little blocks of stuff. I don't know the correct terms for it. So it's super nerdy, but yeah, I've been doing that too. So I've been
Wow.
doing that since like college. So I've just been busting it
Oh,
out.
wow.
Yeah.
That
What
sounds like fun.
What are your thoughts? You said you've been keeping up with the product. I assume you've been watching WWE, AEW, all the
Yeah.
big boys, some of the big boys.
Yeah, I watch AEW more because I know more of the people there, but I read all the results from everything. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just like us. Just you talk about being wrestling nerds. You're talking to the right people here because
Yeah.
right up
Guilty
right up
as
that alley.
charged.
So here's another nerdy thing.
Yeah.
Did you guys? So I'm 33. So
Mhm.
in high school, it would have been like 2001 or two on.
Mhm.
Do you guys know of E-Feds? Are you that nerdy?
I'm familiar with them, but I didn't really participate
Okay.
in them. But I know
Yeah,
about them.
Okay. Yeah, I did that too. I'm real nerdy.
Wow. Wow.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm pretty sure that the fan base that is listening to our podcast can
Mhm.
definitely relate to what you're talking about. So don't feel ashamed or anything.
No, I'm
Not
not
at all.
ashamed.
I'm proud. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, a question I had about the reason I asked about you watching the current product, we've had a pretty good split on opinions on people that either just think it's tough to watch because there's no crowd and that's like 90% of it, or there's
Right.
some people that are really enjoying it. Where do you fall in there? How are you feeling about the
Oh,
no
man.
crowd or the small crowd situations?
I definitely think it's better when there's some sort of crowd,
Mhm.
just because as a person that wrestles, wrestling in front of no crowd is brutal because
Yeah.
you need the feedback back and forth. So I think anytime there's any sort of crowd, whether it's extras or wrestlers or whoever, I think it makes it much better, especially for the people in the ring.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. And what's interesting to me, I don't know if you keep up with the New Japan product, but it's been so wild to see how they took time off and then they were able to work things back to where they can now have a crowd again. If you've watched that product, have you felt kind of the difference in watching the American product with there's barely any crowd versus New Japan, where we've really got people out there, paying customers?
For sure, it's different, and there's a difference in the Japanese product and the American product anyway, right?
Absolutely.
The way
Absolutely.
they react. So, but I think anytime you have a crowd, it's gonna make more energy for the guys and girls wrestling.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You know,
definitely-
one of the interesting things for me, of course, following your career, you've done so much. The 2 years off, let's talk about what led to you taking 2 years off from the business.
Sure. So I had been going since I was 15 years old. So it was
Oh,
at
wow.
that point, I think it was like 14 years or something. And I
Okay.
was just burned out
Yeah.
mostly. And I kind of thought that there was, at that point, there was no AEW, there was no NWA, there was no MLW. There was like, I kind of thought I was stuck kind of. And I
Okay.
was like, I can't just keep killing myself
Yeah.
for that. So I had my retirement tour, and then before it got cut short, I tore my ACL.
Oh,
So
wow.
so I was just off and just rehabbing, and then some opportunities started popping up of other stuff with guys like NWA and MLW and AEW, and I was like, well, let me give it a shot again just to see. I can't look back 30 years from now and be like, I didn't give it a shot, right? So
Right.
that
Right.
was kind of my mentality of coming back,
Wow.
just to give it a shot and see what happens. So
Yeah.
I'm curious. Once you joined SHW, I want to say, was it last November, December?
December, I think, was my
Mm-hmm.
So
comeback.
you popped in, you kind of had an interaction with David Ali, and then that led to a series of your matches over the next few months. Now, I know that it was highly anticipated once people saw you appear at that show and they knew that you were going to be on the SHW roster moving forward. Everybody was excited. There was definitely a buzz around it. And we got a couple months into the new year, and then this pandemic hits and shows get canceled left and right. We've all been sitting at home for the last several months.
Ever.
Where is your, I mean, talk about just bad timing. I mean, everybody's excited for your big comeback. 2020 was going to be like the year of Kyle Matthews, I felt like.
Mhm.
And then this happened. So what's your headspace like right now? I mean, are you still looking to, like, once we come back, are you still looking to be a full part of the roster, or what's the deal?
I honestly, I haven't really decided, to be honest with you. There's a part of me that wants to come back for sure, but if I'm not going to be 100% like balls to the walls in the game, I can't take up spots from people that are going to be that way. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
So it's not really fair if my head's not 100% in it right now to come back and take somebody's spot. So that's actually what I've decided for Rumblejack. I'm going to sit this one out and let people have some entries and some spots on the card, and just kind of reevaluate once I see what the precautions are and you know how things turn out, because we still don't know, you know, like
Right.
we're a month away and we still don't exactly know what's going on. And that's just my personal take on it.
Sure.
I'm totally happy for everyone that's doing it and taking the opportunity. Like, good for them. But that's kind of where I am right now on it.
Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, selfishly as a fan, and we say this every week, that we are the commentary team, but we're fans first. And so selfishly as fans, we would love for you to come back and see. We would love for you to have a good run in SHW. But like you said, we just don't know what the future holds, not just for SHW, but really for any of the promotions around town. So I'm hoping we come back full force at some point, and fingers crossed, hopefully we get to see you there. That's just me being a selfish fan.
For sure. Like I said, it's not a forever thing, and it's wrestling, so you never say never anyway, right?
Right.
But I think there's definitely a chance I'll be back. I just don't know when yet.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, because this has been the other interesting thing about the pandemic. It has caused a lot of people to reevaluate and rethink a lot of things. For you, kind of what's going into your thought process of deciding I'm going to sit this one out for a little bit?
Yeah, it's mostly just being safe. Mostly is where I am.
Sure.
And I'm sure there's going to be protocols and all that sort of thing, especially with Dylan working where he works. So
Yeah.
It's just a personal decision. That's all. Nothing. It's nothing that's happened or anything.
Okay,
I just want to see how things unfold, kind of, and see
sure.
how it goes.
And just so that you know, that's totally fair. You're not the
Yeah.
only wrestler to feel that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There are tons of them all over the place in varying promotions. So I don't want you guys to freak out.
This is
Everything's fine.
this isn't secretly the Kyle Matthews heel turn where we're all being worked and he's like,
No,
screw
no.
you, SHW.
Hit you all. No, not at all.
So let me ask you this, because one of the things that you mentioned in your return after the 2 years was seeing options that were available, like an AEW, like an
Mhm.
MLW, and the NWA, and so many other places that are popping up. Once things get to a place where you feel comfortable coming back, are you looking at perhaps at some point ending up in any of those spots?
Yeah, for sure. Luckily, because I've been doing this so long, a lot of people that I've worked with are now in places, those sort of places, right?
Yes.
So it's wrestling is just like anything else. You got to make connections and got to network and
Absolutely.
that sort of thing. So yeah, hopefully, whenever things get back to whatever the new normal is, that'll definitely be goals that I would like to achieve.
That's
Awesome,
awesome.
man. We'd be so excited to see you pop up. I mean, we talk about it every week. We've been seeing a lot of our SHW regulars popping up on AEW Dark, AEW
Mhm.
Dynamite. I
Mhm.
mean, Alan Angels is now part of the Dark Order. Like, it's just
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy
crazy.
seeing some of the SHW alumni popping up on the big stage. But
Yeah.
let's take a bit of a turn here. And for a lot of people that are SHW fans, may not have followed your career before you showed up in SHW and may not be super familiar with you. Now, the fans that did know who you were, you got a great reaction that first night when you appeared. Like,
Mhm.
people remembered, oh my God,
Yeah.
this guy's been gone for 2 years and he's
Yeah.
back. But there was a lot of fans there that weren't sure who you were. Let's go back and get a little bit of your history on like when you got started in the business. Cause like you
Sure.
said, it's been 14, 15 years.
Yeah. So my first match was December 7th, 2002.
Wow.
So that was what, almost 18 years ago now.
Yeah.
So, but I've worked for pretty much every major Georgia promotion. I've worked for Ring of Honor, Chikara, um, Evolve, which doesn't exist anymore, which is crazy,
How crazy is that?
right? um,
Gosh.
Most of the big promotions, without exception, are like CZW and PWG. I've worked for at least once. I went to Japan for 01 in 2010,
Oh, wow.
so that was cool. Yeah, so and I've got to wrestle pretty much everyone that I wanted to wrestle as a fan, right? So Brian Danielson, Davey Richards, Michael Elgin, Dash and Dawson, whatever their names are now.
Yeah.
Like just because we've kind of all came up at the same time. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's been awesome. It's been a fun
What-
times.
You mentioned that list of well, a small list there, but I know the list is a long list. You just mentioned a few. Do you have any big favorites that stick out? I mean, you've had a countless number of matches over the years.
Yeah, I can give you two right off the top of my head. Brian Danielson, number one. Daniel
Yeah.
Bryan.
Yeah.
By far the best person I've ever been in the ring with. Like,
Wow.
leaps and bounds above, like just blew my mind. And then
Wow.
the other one is Akudo Hidaka, who he came over in ECW for a little bit, but
Okay.
he's a 01 guy that he's a junior heavyweight, and we had really good matches in Japan. So
That's that octopus lock you do, right? The Hidaka
Right.
lock.
correct, yes, he's the one that
Wow.
taught me the octopus.
Nice, nice.
That's
Well,
pretty amazing.
go ahead, GB.
No, I was just going to ask. I mean, you alluded to the fact before when we mentioned Japanese pro wrestling and how different it is from the States, and then having an opportunity to be part of the 01 promotion. Do you have a preference in terms of your personal style? Like, would you prefer to work in Japan and that style, or do you prefer the American style? Because again, the folks that you've mentioned in the promotions you've worked for, there is a wide variety of styles represented there. So for you, what's your preference? Where would you like to kind of sit and hang?
I think I'm kind of in the middle. So,
Okay.
so like when I was first coming up, the South was kind of like looked at as like let's just go out there and put them in a hold and yell at the people sort of place. And now, because a lot of people like in my generation went around and traveled, we've kind of changed that narrative of through everyone, not just me, everybody has helped change that narrative. Where, I mean, now if you look at like QT School, like look at all the people they're producing, or WWA4, or like so and a lot of guys from the South are getting signed to places in the North or like or WWE or AEW. So I think we're all kind of like a happy mashup now of all sorts of styles.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is
Yeah.
awesome. So, with all of the people that you have mentioned that you have battled, and it's an amazing list of folks, do you still have any dream matches left? Like, who
Oh,
would you love to hop in the ring with?
Alex Shelley is number one on the list.
Oh,
That's number one.
Wow.
Easy breezy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one. I
What
think.
what a
Wow.
cool comeback, by the way, at Impact Slammiversary when the
Yeah.
Motor City Machine Guns showed up. It's like,
Mhm.
whoa!
And now they're tag champions. What in the
Yeah.
world? Crazy.
Yeah, you never know, right? You never say never in wrestling.
That's right. That's
That
right.
was
Yeah,
crazy.
I think him and Saban would be at the top of the list.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously guys that aren't possible. Like AJ is obviously not a possibility, right? Because he's making
Never say never. It's
Never say never.
he's making billions of dollars. So that's one too. But
yeah.
That would be amazing.
yeah,
Well,
That'd be amazing.
let's go back to little childhood Kyle and when you first started getting into pro wrestling. Like, what do you remember growing up? When did you first start watching? What was your product? A lot of people were either WWF or WCW. Did you have a preference? Did you watch both? Who were some of your favorites? All that good stuff.
So my dad is the one that got me into wrestling, and he was strictly WCW, like no WWE
Wow.
in the house at all.
You grew up in Georgia?
Yeah, so we went
Yes.
to lots of shows at the Omni and
Okay.
Marietta, the Cobb Civic Center in Marietta. We used to
Yeah.
go there all the time, and Center Stage. So
Oh,
I got
okay.
to do a lot of wrestling when I was a kid. So, but my guy was Sting, far and away,
Yeah.
far and away, Surfer Sting all day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So how did you feel when he transitioned into the Crow Sting?
Oh, I was still on board, but still Surfer Sting's my favorite.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
He was special.
Yeah, like there was just something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I definitely remember. I think I'm gonna say we were at the Omni because I feel like there was a long stage, but Vader coming out with like his
Oh yeah.
Mastodon
Oh,
thing,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
scariest
Mhm.
thing ever.
Yes. Yes.
So how
Yes.
old are we talking here? How old would you have been, you think?
Oh, like 4 probably.
Wow.
Just the right age to be like, ah!
Yeah.
There's a sweet video somewhere. I need to post it one day of it's a Z-Man versus Arn Anderson match from like
Okay.
one of those like Power Hour or one of those weird things they taped at the Cobb Civic Center, and you can see Arn Anderson get thrown in the rail, and sitting in the front row is me and my dad. Where I'm in his lap.
Oh,
That is awesome. Is
you gotta
it?
post that.
We gotta find that, man.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's on the network, and if it is, we gotta.
It's on YouTube. I can find it. It's on
Yeah?
YouTube. Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
Well, I'll hit you up later, and then if we
Okay.
find it still, I'm gonna
Yeah,
share that.
yeah.
'Cause
Yeah. It's real ridiculous.
That's so cool. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So, you know, as you mentioned WCW, I talk with a number of my friends. I grew up in WWE territory,
Mhm.
but I always loved watching the NWA and WCW. I think there was a certain era where I felt like the NWA was crushing WWE. But I have a couple of matches that I always look back at and I go, that's my match right there. For you, what were your top 3 matches, say, growing up?
Liger Pillman from that Super Brawl.
Oh, wow.
Super
Okay.
good, Super
Yeah.
good. Sting Squadron versus Dangerous Alliance War Games.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I don't know. There's got to be a Ric Flair match in there somewhere, probably. Probably Flair and Sting Great American Bash. Those were the ones as a kid that
Mhm.
I liked. I liked Pillman too as a kid.
Yeah.
Because I mean, who didn't like Brian Pillman, right?
Right.
Of course, when I got older, when the Monday Night War started, I would switch back and forth. As every wrestling nerd did.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Until WWE got really terrible, and then
Yeah.
I didn't watch it anymore.
That's the general consensus.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You mentioned that Pillman Liger match, and I was wondering, like who would have been some of your influences as you were growing up? I would imagine those guys would have been a couple of them. But as you were growing up, at what point did you kind of think like, you know what, I think I could try to do this? And when you decided that, who were some of the guys you looked up to?
Well, this is a great story about how I started wrestling. So my mom was a bookkeeper at a middle school.
Mhm.
Her friend was a bookkeeper at elementary school, and she got a fax one day about this group in Rome that was looking for teenage pro wrestlers. They wanted to start like a teenage pro wrestling federation. And so I called the number, and I went and got trained. And of course, teenage wrestling never happened because it's wrestling, and things like that don't happen. But I still was trained, and this company I started wrestling for in Rome, and I think at the time it was 2002. So like Eddie, Benoit, Edge, Rey Mysterio, those were my guys at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't even really know indie wrestling until I started wrestling. And then
Wow.
around that time, Ring of Honor was starting and TNA. So that's when AJ and Amazing Red, Low Key, those guys.
Mhm.
The first time I saw Low Key, Bryan Danielson blew my mind.
Yeah.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a crazy one. That's
Yeah.
a crazy one. And it's funny that you mentioned not really knowing indie wrestling because 2001, 2002, there really wasn't much indie wrestling. I mean, the Monday Night Wars were over. WCW was sold. ECW was sold. It seemed like WWE was the only game in town. And then, of course, we saw Ring of Honor, TNA. So that's a fair assessment that you wouldn't necessarily know indie wrestling.
Yeah, and a person I wrestled with in Rome there, he's the first one that introduced me to like CZW and then Ring of Honor. And IWA Mid-South was like
Oh, wow.
in spot at the time, right? Punk and Hero and Cabana.
Yeah.
And then it happened that Jimmy Rave was from the area too, who was going to do all these shows, who I didn't meet till years later. But it was just funny that we ended up wrestling like billions of times, me and Jimmy. So
It's so crazy.
What was that like when you discovered indie wrestling? Was it, did it just blow your mind? Like, what in the world? What is this world here? What is this?
Blew my mind, especially when I saw Mondo do the crazy thing off the U-Haul truck. Have you guys seen that? Through the
Nick Mondo?
Nick Mondo through
Yeah.
Wow.
Jimmy, like blew my mind. I was
Yeah.
literally the most excited ever when I met him at Southern Honor. Like,
Yeah.
I got a picture with him in like in the first 2 seconds.
Wow.
So I was at DDPY a while back and did not even know that he was doing like some like video production stuff and helping out with AEW and our buddies that we know from SHW that are working with AEW. He's helping out with those guys from time to time. And I had no clue. And I remember being at DDPY one day for some reason, maybe we were shooting a video or something and seeing him and going, is that sick Nick Mondo? Wait, like what is he doing here? It was crazy, but yeah.
Dylan was like, "Hey, Mondo's coming by," and I was like, "What?" And
Wow.
like people in the locker room, and he walked in. I was like, "Hey, can I get a picture with you?" And he was just like, "Who is this weirdo kid?"
And here's this guy who's been in the business for 18 years, and he's like, "Who's this Mark?"
Yeah. I was
That's
like,
funny, man.
Look him up on Facebook. Like, I can find you. You have a very easy name to find.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, because one of the things that you've obviously had the opportunity to see over the last 18 years is the rise of independent wrestling and the like. And of course, just like, any business, being independent versus being corporate, two very different worlds. In terms of being able to apply your craft, do you have a preference? Some people like and prefer to be in the indies versus being in a corporate situation. Some prefer the opposite. What's your preference?
I think the indies definitely give you more freedom, right?
Okay.
So, but your paycheck's gonna be much better if you're at WWE, right? So it just depends on where you are in your life, right? So I think that has a lot to do with it. But like the rise of the indies is amazing to me, because if you think about when WCW folded, like they were doing some big shows with ex WCW and ECW guys at the time, right? And then that kind of collapsed and then it was starting to rise back up, and the Benoit thing happened. But everything kind of collapsed then, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look around, like Ring of Honor, like around like 2007, 2008, 2009, when they started doing the WrestleMania shows,
yes,
like, wrestling started getting back up there again. And then it seemed like in the middle 2010s, it kind of went back down. Mm-hmm. And then now the Young Bucks and Cody kind of brought it back, right?
Yeah.
And it was at the highest I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
Before the pandemic happened. So I hope that the excitement is still there for it when we come back, that everybody's still excited for it.
I've been thinking the same thing, because I felt like it was like on its way back up, and it was getting as big as we remember it being back in, like when I really first started watching. I feel kind of bad, because a lot of friends of mine, kind of like you said, started watching when you were really young. I didn't start watching until I was probably like 14, 15 years old. So we're talking like 97-ish, somewhere in there. And so I felt like, oh, I missed out on like all this cool stuff. But at the time, I just remember getting into it and looking back, that was like the hottest time, the late 90s. You know, the Monday Night Wars were hot, the NWO with the Attitude Era, all that good stuff. And I felt like we were finally kind of getting back to that point where it was getting that hot again.
Yeah.
And then the pandemic hit and everything kind of came to a screeching halt.
Yeah.
And now I'm really fingers crossed that we can get through the pandemic. And of course, none of us can put a time frame on it. We don't know how long it's going to last. It's just like, but I'm enjoying, for the most part, a lot of the AEW. Like you said, I've been watching more AEW, and I've been enjoying the stuff they've been putting out. The WWE, it's just been kind of tough to watch, not just because of the no fans, but with the storylines are a little wonky, and it is what it is. But
Something that bothers me about WWE, and it's really stupid, is the glass. Like,
the hockey glass.
I don't. It just annoys me. I have no good reason.
And the fans are constantly beating on, or the fans,
Yeah.
the rookie talent, whatever that you want to call them.
The lights or something. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
really dumb that I think that way, but
You're not alone. You're honestly not alone, because I've talked to numerous people that the glass drives them nuts, and I'm kind of one of those people too. So.
and then it was really weird those weeks they didn't have fans, and you could hear the commentary, like they'd be
Yes.
late, and you could hear the
Mhm.
commentary going on at the same. Like,
Yeah.
it was bizarre. But
I was
That was-
concerned because initially we talked about doing an empty arena show when the pandemic first started,
Mhm.
back in March or April, whatever.
April, yeah.
I
Yeah.
was gonna be on the
Yeah, you were going to be there, and so we were going to show up and do commentary for it. But I wondered that myself, like, are we going to sound echoey throughout the action building? Because we're going to,
Mhm.
because there's times where GB knows we get excited, like, oh my god,
Yeah.
it's going to be like just us echoing throughout the action building. I was curious how that might turn out, but
Yeah.
oh well, it never happened.
Yeah, it's just crazy that little things like that can annoy you. Like, it doesn't make any sense, but
Sure. No, and then you wonder, like I've wondered, okay, how do the wrestlers feel hearing the commentary while they're in the ring? Like, that's a completely different element. And like, if you hear somebody saying something bad about you, like anybody else, you want to turn around and say, "What are you doing?" You
That's
know?
WrestleMania, right? Like the biggest show of the year, we're expecting like 100,000 people.
Right.
It's like people, it had to be so awkward.
Very.
But props to them for doing their job and like,
Yeah.
continuing to do it well. Like,
Hmm.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's the toughest of circumstances for
Yeah,
sure.
there's a lot of stuff that you have to feel the crowd for. Like, if you're both down, it's
Yeah.
going to be awkward if the referee's just counting and like there's nobody making any noise. It has to be so awkward.
Right.
Cricket sound effects coming in when both guys are down.
Wait, you know what? That reminds me, and I want to get your thoughts on this because Major League Baseball returned this
Yeah.
weekend, and I was curious to see how they were going to handle the empty arena scenario. And they had, the cardboard cutouts
Yeah.
in the background. They piped in noise. They had the CGI fans.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that perhaps wrestling should employ, is having those kinds of things, or do you think, nah, that's a little over the top?
I don't know. I think it would be really weird in baseball if there was just nothing, right? Like,
Sure.
like nothing there and just seats. Like, that's
Yeah.
weird. So I think
Yeah.
they're trying to make the best of it. But I don't know. Piping in noise is always weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the
But-
Edge Randy Orton match,
Yeah.
they did that. They did that.
There's
with
that.
running the noise. Yeah.
Yeah.
The greatest match ever, as they
Oh,
dubbed it. Yeah. But they brought in the thing is, they had those the NXT people or whoever was around ringside, and they were making some noise, but then they piped in like the arena crowd noise from time
Yeah.
to time throughout the match. And like they did a few things where they brought down like the Howard Finkel introduction and stuff like that, which I thought was kind of cool. But then they brought in the crowd noise, and I don't know, like it distracted me more than it helped, I felt like.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So I watch a lot of Atlanta United. I watch every Atlanta United game.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
They did in the tournament back. There was all this weird piped in noise, and I'm like, no, I want to hear the players like yelling at each other and stuff.
Right. Right.
That's an element you don't ever get to hear normally because
Right.
there's fans around. So I think if you could mix the two, like maybe put the cardboard cutouts in, but give me the people talking to each other. Like, I want to hear
Sure.
talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of was thinking about that with baseball too. I was thinking we were going to hear the players on the field like hollering at each other and
Mhm.
stuff you normally wouldn't get to hear, but
Or whatever they're doing on first base, right? When they always
right.
like, give me that.
Yeah.
Right.
Good
Like
audio.
Like, are they in the dugout doing what we would do in Little League, going swing batter, hey batter batter batter, swing? Like, are they doing that, but we just never hear it? Like, I want to know.
And then of course they had some problems in MLB, but we'll
Well, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen there with like the Marlins
Right.
this past week having to
Mhm.
cancel games, and the Yankees game got canceled because of the
Yeah.
Marlins
Yeah.
outbreak. They're calling it. So
Sheesh.
that's what's crazy. We just don't know what's going to happen, and that
Yeah.
goes for football coming up. That goes for wrestling moving
Mhm.
forward. Like it's just so crazy time we're in, man.
WWE had some cases, right?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely.
So
Definitely.
I don't know. It's all crazy.
They
Yeah.
they actually got under a lot of scrutiny for that too, because apparently everybody thought they were testing before shows, but I guess they
Yeah.
weren't. And AEW
Yeah.
was testing before
Yeah.
shows, but I don't
Mhm.
know. It's just
Yeah.
you hear all the stuff on like the dirt sheets and whatnot,
Right.
so
Of course. Yeah.
you don't know what to believe. It's on the internet, so it must be true, right?
Facebook, it's got to be real, right?
Right, it's
Absolutely.
Facebook. Yeah.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this, because of course, fans are looking to come back and the like. What would you say right now to fans who are like us? We're all sitting at home, man. What do you want the fans to know?
Just keep supporting, right? Like if that means watching old matches on YouTube, that's cool. If it means watching AEW, WWE, New Japan, that's cool. If it means IWTV, that's cool. Just keep watching and keep reach out to the guys, right? And the girls. Like as long as you're cool, don't be a creeper. But
Right. Right.
but like 99% of the time, a fan interaction is awesome, right? Just
Yeah.
if you see a cool match that someone's in, just tweet it or just Facebook and be like, hey, check this guy out, check this girl out. Like they're awesome. And that just keeps the vibe going, keeps everybody interested, keeps the vibe going. If you have some extra change, buy some merch. Like,
Mhm.
we wish we were out there performing for you guys, but unfortunately it just is what it is.
We say it every week. We always plug pro wrestling tees because a lot of our wrestlers on SHW have stores there. I know you had a store there. Do you still have
there.
new shirts or anything? I know you
Still-
have a shirt or a couple
Yeah,
shirts.
just a shirt. It's still there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there you go. Hit up Kyle on search for Kyle Matthews on prowrestlingtees.com. But
Yeah.
another thing you mentioned is people going online, watching stuff on YouTube, watching stuff online or whatever. You have a YouTube channel, and from time to time you do the watch alongs where you like kind of narrate along with the match you're watching. Are you still doing some of those?
Yeah, so I actually just graduated from college, so I stopped for a minute to finish my last semester. But
Awesome.
uh,
Congratulations.
thank
Yes,
you.
congratulations.
I'm hoping to get back on that train of watching stuff. It was fun. It's just a little more time consuming sometimes than I want it to be.
Yeah.
Sure. I get it.
It's a cool idea. It's a cool idea because I remember like you had just come back to SHW, and I was trying to familiarize myself with you a little bit. So I was kind of following some of your stuff on Facebook, and I saw one of the things you posted was one of these videos, and I believe it was David Ali versus, I'm gonna mess up who it was because I can't remember now. Might have been Fry Daddy perhaps at one of the SHW shows, and you're.
Yes, it was the one. Yes, that sounds right.
But anyways, what stuck out to me, like it was cool watching you kind of narrate along with it because you had a match coming up with David Ali at the upcoming show, so you were kind of scouting him out, so to speak.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
right away, you started watching, and you're like, "Oh, these announcers, these commentators are really good. Like it's good to commentate." I texted Gerard right away. I was like, "Hey, Kyle's watching us on IWTV."
I love it.
Loved it. I was like, anyways,
It's just like a good ref, right? Like you only notice a ref if they're really bad, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
but commentary's the same way, right? Like if it's really bad, it sticks out.
Yeah.
Or my favorite is the old school where people would do commentary like over the live mic. Have you guys been to one of those shows before?
I've heard of people that do that, and
Gosh.
I always think that would be so awkward, kind of like you talked about in the WWE at WrestleMania. Like the wrestlers
Mhm.
can hear the announcers; it just
Yeah.
seems awkward.
Yeah, like especially like if the manager jumps up on the apron, they're like, "Oh no, the manager's jumping up on the apron, turning around."
You're supposed to suspend my disbelief here. If the wrestler can hear you saying it, it doesn't make any sense.
Oh, man.
But anyways, I want to thank you for giving us some props on your
Thank
YouTube
you.
channel for that because
You guys do great.
I
Thank you
appreciate that.
so much.
We don't stick out in a bad way, Gerard.
That's a good thing.
It's very easy to find the bad ones.
There you go.
Wow.
Well, man, we really appreciate you joining us, man, because we've been wanting to chat with you for quite a while. And ever since you've been back, we hadn't had a chance to just sit down and talk. So this has been really cool and really educational to learn a little more of your background. But is there any you want to plug your socials so the fans that might want to follow you on social media?
Twitter is kmatthews3, Instagram is kmat0626, and Facebook's just my name, Kyle Matthews, because I don't have a cool wrestling name.
Well, there you go. Fans, you can actually go on, and I think it was on your Instagram, or it might have been Facebook as well, where you can see him wipe out on the water skis from this past weekend. So
Awesome.
definitely check that out. Anything else you want to let the fans know before you go, buddy?
Nah, just keep supporting. Like I said, indie wrestling needs you guys. All wrestling needs you guys. So thank you guys for having me.
You got it,
Awesome.
man. Thanks so
Thank
much
you.
for joining us, and we'll see you real soon, buddy.
See ya.
Well, there you go. The 8-time technical wrestler of the year, the 2-time wrestler of the year of the state of Georgia, Kyle Matthews,
Yeah.
joining us here on the podcast. What a great interview, Gerard.
That was a fantastic interview. I learned a lot. And, what I think is so interesting is, again, everyone's different perspective during the quarantine. And you guys heard it first. He will not be at the Rumble Jack, but you also heard why. And quite frankly, I applaud everybody for whatever decisions they choose to make. If you feel super comfortable, obviously coming out, that's excellent. And you find ways to protect yourself. If you feel like, hey, you know what, I want to come out when it's super safe, you're totally well within your rights to do that. And so we support you, Kyle Matthews, and we look forward to when things feel safe enough for you to come out, because we want you to be safe, buddy.
Yeah, and if you're not able to make it to the show, I mean, we're still going to be doing the production like we normally do, and the show will still end up on IWTV, just like the rest of our shows. So independentwrestling.tv, you can sign up. It's $10 a month. If you use the code SHW, you get the first 5 days for free. And like I said, every single SHW show is there for you to binge watch during the quarantine if you haven't already. And even if you have, go back and watch it again, because why not? They're just that good.
They really are. I've been binge watching yet again, and I watched the other day the first show where it was a fatal 5-way as the title match after a tournament that whole night that saw us crown
The kid.
The kid, yeah, which I love the way he won the title, by the way. He was just beat up the whole night, and then he comes in and wins the championship. So, it's some great stuff there. DDP was there, and you guys went nuts when DDP showed up.
You can hear me lose my mind like a little girl just screaming, ah!
It was great. But the other thing, in case you don't know, which I think is important, because Kyle was talking about the value of independent wrestling and independentwrestling.tv. You get SHW, but you also get about 100 other indie promotions on there as well. So you can go and check them out. You'll be surprised some of the things that you found. I'll quickly just plug this one. I had heard a lot about Defy Wrestling, and they're out in Portland. And one of the cool things there is a lot of the talent you see now in NXT and in AEW were there in Defy. So it's pretty cool to see. And that's why I like going back to watch, our old shows, other old shows. You really get a lot of history on what's there. So again, independentwrestling.tv, SHW is the code to get 5 free days. Binge watch the shows, because August the 28th is swiftly approaching.
And like we mentioned before, with August 28th, the second annual Rumble Jack coming up, tickets are no longer on sale online. Tickets will only be available at the door the night of the show. So what does that mean? That means get there early if you want a good seat. We're going to have first and second rows, I believe, $20, and then general admission, $12 after that. So first come, first served on the first couple rows there. So
if you've always wanted to be in those first 2 rows, now's your chance.
Exactly. So
they usually go very fast.
It's going to go very fast. It's going to be interesting, because this is the first time we've done this where we haven't pre-sold tickets. So it's going to be a little wacky, I think.
I think it's going to be cool, though. It is that feeling of a groundswell of a movement that has always been SHW. Our fans have always been loyal, always been amazing. Again, we think back to what was going to be the empty arena show and how our fans showed up. So I am totally confident it's going to be a nutty night. And what a way. It just makes sense. Rumble Jack, it's going to be a rumble to get in the building. It's going to be crazy. August the 28th. Be there online as it happens to get your tickets.
Cannot wait for the Rumble Jack. And somebody else who can't wait for the Rumble Jack too is the crazy guy, Hold My Beer Hansen, which, by the way, sorry again to the folks.
I tried to forget about that.
I'm sorry to bring it up again, but I want to
Oh,
apologize to the listeners again,
gosh.
because that was insane. And folks, if you're just listening to the audio version and you may not have seen what had happened, like he hacked in somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I know he's got all these like Chuck Norris talents that DC's always talking about, but apparently computer hacking skills is right up there on the list of talents. And
Apparently.
he found his way onto the podcast, and he's been campaigning to enter the Rumblejack for several weeks now. So who knows what to make of that and what comes of it. We'll just have to wait and see.
I just know this: if he hacked into our podcast, he could hack into the Rumblejack. I mean, like he may not even need to be an affiliate. Like, this dude could actually buy. He might be online with you guys on August the 28th to buy a ticket, because I don't know that Gary Lamb would let him in after he just disrespected our podcast that way. But who knows? Stranger things have happened. I don't know.
Who knows? Who knows? And you never know what's going to happen on here on the show from week to week. You never know what's going to happen at the SHW live shows. You just never know. But fans, we will be back next week with a brand new episode. And until then, this has been SHW.
This is our wrestling.
We'll see you guys next week.